Hi, and welcome to the Thinking Out Loud podcast, a show with meaningful conversations in English with non-native speakers. My name is Jedrek.
My name is Masha.
And we are two English teachers who
fight for you, at least fight for good quality education. That's why you're wearing this.
You're making reference to my T-shirt. Yes, it's a military T-shirt today. That's true. Because I'm fighting for quality education. Tell me better. How are you doing and everything? Because yes. What's the situation, in Kiev and what are the spirits and so on? Tell us a little bit. I'm sorry if this goes kind of private, but you don't have to talk about your life. But
my spirit is rather high.
Oh, yours is high. All right, great.
Yeah.
That's great. That's great. And what about?
I don't venture out much, so I can't talk about the other spirits.
All right. Good. No, I was wondering, because the recent, I think, perspective, media, of course, perspective.
You read Western media.
Western media perspective on the war, and together with that, Israel-Hamas kind of conflict, and so on is kind of, I'd say this the spirit is kind of
pain in the ass. Yeah. Everybody's
pain in the ass. Yeah, exactly. It's like, let's finish this. Let's have a deal. That is the narration, I think, that is starting to unfold slowly but surely. In the West, I think.
Yeah.
But I don't know.
What are they running out of cream for their croissants, or what is going on?
No, I think I don't know, honestly, but I think since the war is in a stalemate, kind of.
Yeah, it's not like in your average Marvel movie.
Yeah. Not like
sorry for that, guys. Exactly. Sorry, not.
Yeah. So
not good
entertainment.
There is.
Yeah, and the energy prices are kind of high in Germany. The government has to subsidize the industry, which is complaining. These BMW and Volkswagen's presidents are kind of angry. So, I guess that's why what we are seeing right now is some kind of suggestions that, hey, maybe there is another way out. Why fighting? All right, that's why I'm asking.
Go back to drinking wine and beer.
Yeah, exactly. But this is kind of that is the perspective of.
So angry. I mean, it's let's not go down this road.
Sorry, I didn't want to ask, but I'm asking you not as a Westerner. I'm asking you as a Polish guy. Just asking about what's
not a Polish
going
farmer, and also not a Polish.
But I'm asking you from the perspective simply of a person who is concerned about all this, and also how a nation that has been fighting for the past 2 years almost is feeling. That's why my question.
We keep fighting.
All right, great. Fingers crossed, of course, for that. Okay, great. So with that being said, with my military T-shirt kind of obliging me to ask for
let's turn
about
to
that.
Other fights.
Yeah, let's turn to other fights. What did you say when I said we are two English teachers who do what?
Well, at least
who fight for. Okay. You're not fighting.
I fight for other things. Yes, they include education. At least some kind of education. That's what we are fighting for. When we win, of course, we will take care that it's good quality education. But right now, we need just
just
let's say existential things.
Yeah, that's true. I was, I was surprised because, as you know, I'm freshly back from Paris, from the TESOL France conference. Okay, I said I was surprised. Maybe not really surprised, but yeah, okay, I am surprised because I'm living here in the province, or Provence, in fact.
Yeah.
Yes, but it's a province. It's it's far away, and I am far away from the industry. You know what I mean? Like these occasional visits to conferences, they just this is my only way of getting in touch with the so-called industry, right? Because normally I don't get in touch with teachers, apart from you, right? So you are my only window to the world of English language teaching. Where is
Sorry,
it
but I already
actually?
closed this door, so your window
Right.
leads nowhere.
All right. So yeah, and there's a brick wall, right behind it. But what I wanted to say is that this is an industry, and the name is right. It's like
So
it is
you
an
were
industry.
surprised about what?
I was surprised by how technical, by how dispirited this whole environment is. And maybe it's not so much TESOL France itself, although the plenary speakers, they are always like well prepared with nice presentations, but I don't feel a sense of mission there, like, come on guys, let's get together, let's do the right thing. It's more like personal story. My personal story, I was born in Sudan, and then I was raised in South Africa, then I went so on and so forth, and there was a lot of learning, of course, in education and everything, but I don't know, they are to me, these stories are nice, but they are not so much inspiring. You know what I mean? Because
No. You mean
I
it's like
I
an
don't know.
average Hollywood movie today? You need to have a Chinese
Yeah,
person of color, a black, gay,
yeah,
and it's
kind of.
already
I
enough.
mean,
Plot, nobody cares about.
Yeah, you're right. I mean, I haven't looked at it from this perspective, but perhaps, I mean, there is, but my point is, and later, because it's what's even more interesting. At the conference, guess what? I bought a book. I bought a book. It is one-to-one.
ELT for dummies or something.
The kind of. I mean, it's about teaching one-to-one.
There's
And
only one book about teaching one-to-one, I know, and it's quite old.
Well, seriously, there is a new one now, but what is it?
Oh, it's called Teaching One-to-One.
And who wrote it? Do you know? Do you remember?
No, I don't remember. Right.
All right. No, this one is actually authored by, as far as I can tell, but I may actually reveal my ignorance here, but I think it's the president of the Polish IATEFL, Rob Howard, and
doesn't sound very Polish to me, Rob Howard.
I mean, he's an American, but he's presiding the Polish IATEFL. What's wrong with that? I mean,
okay, nothing.
All right. And I guess it is co-authored with Andrzej Stęsik, if I'm not mistaken. I'm not gonna.
What? At least maybe the name you remember.
The name of the book,
It's
one on
called
one, I guess.
Okay.
Yeah, I guess it's 1-on-1 or 1-to-1. Can't tell you for sure. Anyway, it's a new book about teaching individually, okay, online or not online or offline. But I read this book on my way back on the train, and I must tell you that this is basically a book on how to make more money. That's what the book is about.
Maybe how to adapt course book tasks to.
I think, I mean, my it is, of course, a subjective review, but all I remember from the book is how to make more money. You gotta make more money. You gotta teach around the world, not just where you are and stuff like that. of course, by two accomplished teachers, no doubt about it. They've got their own businesses and they've been in the business for I don't know, decades now. So for sure, they sort of know what they are talking about. But I didn't find any other inspiration there other than money, being more efficient and money. And that is kind of flat to me. I know money is important, right? But
especially taking into account teachers are extremely underpaid.
Yeah, exactly. I know. And all of this paints a rather gloomy picture, that this profession has been, I won't hesitate calling it destroyed, by low salaries, or even, some kind of weird job contracts that are not real job contracts, but some kind of temporary job contracts, or half-time, part-time, whatever you name it, So that is one side. And I know that because the environment is like that, then you write a book like this, okay, so how to swim in that sewer, But what I'd like to read one day is a book that gives a real, hope or inspiration that this work makes sense. And this sense is wider than just your wallet. I mean, come on. I think there are a lot of people who are somehow still in the industry, because what is honestly keeping you in that business? If the salary is low and the conditions are so, I know that because, and this is the case of many teachers and me included, right? That we are somehow there. I know that there might be, different reasons, I'm afraid maybe to try something else. Maybe I'm sort of comfortable with what I've got, and, and it's a matter of some sort of habits, and so on and so forth. But I don't think so, People stick around in this business because they feel something, that this work may actually make sense, may make sense sometime in certain, under certain conditions. And I would like to, see somebody, listen to somebody who's gonna kind of touch this essence. And of course you're gonna earn more money but not like, I wouldn't place the earnings at the focal point and make it a focal point.
So you were this we have this phrase "один у полі воїн." When you're a lonely warrior.
I am
the only, lonely and the only warrior.
No, I mean, it's all came to me, after that speech, and this, because I was sort of worried.
Did you have a feeling that you were talking to a void because you were not talking about money?
I never have a feeling of this. Neither did I have it in Barcelona, neither nor here in Paris. I mean, people wait for some sort of deeper analysis of what's going on, and not just adapting, another disruption, another adapting, another disruption, another adapting. People wait for some kind of, message that goes deeper, I think. And I'm not claiming that I'm not able to deliver that message. There are so many great teachers, accomplished teachers, but I would honestly expect that from exactly the presidents of TESOL, IATEFL, all these organizations, But what they're doing, they're kind of very down to earth. These guys are walking, with their shoes on the ground. And that's kind of, I don't know if this is the right moment for this kind of approach. That is my feeling.
But maybe again, if we talk about this notorious, whatever, this Maslow's pyramid, once you get enough money, once you get paid,
Yeah, I know.
so that's what
Now
these guys are
yeah.
doing. Then you start thinking about, higher.
But honestly, if their preoccupation, major preoccupation was money, in fact, if it was, then they would, I don't know, encourage some kind of labor unions or other forms of collective action, to change the situation, the industry, and so on. But instead, they are just part of this huge business, this course book sort of, machinery, and they are partially responsible for commodifying the language, that selling it in bits and pieces, to the clientele. I think, because because if you look around and you see the way language is approached, teaching languages is kind of, I don't know, it's awfully commodified. This is a product, let's sell it. There are courses, there are skills for everything. You have a listening, you have 4 skills. 2 are active, 2 are passive. The active ones are speaking and writing, the passive ones are listening, and what's the other skill? Whatever, yeah, reading again. Right. But and I don't know, there's something totally wrong, and then I can tell you some images from the conference, but can't say where exactly from, who said it, and so on. But imagine that you work in some kind of university level or something like that, but you have a group of 15 students of engineering, 15 future engineers who come to your class at 8 a.m. so bored, so sleepy, and you, a lonely teacher, are just there desperate to make them speak, to make them say something more than I don't know or no, yes, and you are desperate to push these guys to produce language. And you are happy every time you find some kind of a stimulant, whatever that may be, a video or something, that will make them say something more than, these 3 words, yes, no, and okay, I don't know, it's actually more than 1 word, but, it's, and I don't know, this is so sad, that linguistic education looks like that there are billions, maybe not billions, okay, but millions, hundreds of thousands, I don't know how many, a lot of teachers who face these sort of totally basic, basic, some kind of ridiculous problems, to push people to talk, how to make them talk. That's the challenge. Make them talk. It's kind of, this is, and me sitting in my, tiny little former bathroom here, at the end of the world. I feel like, I'm so detached from this world. And at the same time, I'm so glad, I don't have to teach that 15 engineers in the morning when they're tired or I don't know what, sleepy and so on, but they have to be there. They have to get their ECTS points or whatever. It's so sad. If education looks like that, it's so dispiriting. What are you doing in this class? Yeah, I could start doubting it. Okay, at the end, at the end you get your paycheck, and that's it, and you survive another month, right? But I don't know. What are your opinions about it, Masha? I'm gonna plug in my charger, before my laptop discharges. Okay, but tell me, do I make any sense to you?
Well, you make perfect sense, but you're another extreme case. If you look at 2 extremes, on the one side of it will be the people who wrote this book. You said very down to earth. You will be at the other, end of the spectrum.
You mean if I wrote my book, I would be somehow levitating?
Yeah.
That's what I'm afraid of. Yes, that's why I'm not writing books.
My husband is the kind of training me. The main rule is if you start complaining, whining, then only start doing this if you have something to offer. Like if everything is bad, then
you're right.
Offer at least one, option of how things can be improved. Otherwise, don't start.
I do feel, you're right. Yeah, I feel like, I'm criticizing, but at the same time, not offering anything else. I may have something to offer. It's maybe that's why I even venture to criticize, but I may have it. It's still in my head. It's not yet on paper, or don't know if it ever will be. But I think that I would have to really get pissed off, one day, like really, with the industry.
To go
it's
to more
all
conferences.
Exactly. That's the safe, maybe, but then again, I don't know. This is complicated, I think that, if, and then, if you wonder why education is where it is right now, what has become of it, and it is a flattened, basically, skill factory sort of, not an institution, but some kind of a factory of skills. Education is all about skills, 21st century skills, other skills, listening skills. That is what education is about, and these skills can be taught by who.
The one who must not be named.
The one who must not be named. But and I think that at the end of the day, the situation is sort of urgent, because new generations are coming, and they simply are born into this system. They don't know any alternative, and I think they will accept basically what's coming. When what is coming is basically a full automatization of education, bringing it down to a set of skills that you need, and that set of skills is of course evolving constantly, because there's new technology. Okay, so we need new skills. Sorry, you learned how to be a radiologist, no need to do that. Now you have to requalify because there's a machine doing your job, and so on. This is kind of stupid race. It is never ending, of course, chasing of the rabbit. It's not what education should be about. Education should actually set the pace, set the tone, and it's not doing it. It hasn't been doing it for a long time. You look at the universities. I mean, they're just responding to whatever is happening on the job market, and whatever is in fact happening in the technology. Because if there's a new technology, then we need new specialists to operate that technology. And what if this technology can operate itself? I mean,
one day.
So, or maybe we'll actually have like university of stand-uppers, because
I heard the AI can crack a good joke these days. No, haven't checked, but.
You mean you?
No, I heard that it's already doing it.
You mean AI?
Yeah.
Yeah, probably. Yeah.
Stand-uppers are also.
I'm maybe naive, but I think that maybe the sense of humor will not be so easily subverted, because it will remain. I don't know. It remains to be seen in the next 12 months. We'll see. No, but okay. Sorry to be so gloomy, maybe, but Masha, there's definitely a need to write a book for teachers to give them hope, that the world may be different, and that teaching may actually be inspiring, and not just waking up these 15 guys and making them talk.
Yeah, but can you I know teachers who, I mean, if imagine you cannot change this situation. You have these 15 engineers early in the morning in your class.
Yeah.
So what you can do, you can say, this is pathetic. I'm washing my hands of it and leave. Or you can stay and be very, I don't know, industrious and make them speak. And there are people who do that.
Yeah, you're right. And you know, today
you do everything you can where you are with what you have. I think it's some American president.
But would you rather stimulate them artificially with, let's say, some, I don't know, controversial videos, or something that is, you know, on the verge of whatever?
Well, that's a different question. That's a different question. So you and I don't think you're arguing that. You're not arguing their methods of stimulating those 15 sleepy engineers. You're arguing having these 15 engineers in your class in the first place.
No, I mean, Masha, now when you said it, I wouldn't quit. Not so easily, I guess. I would try and fight, but I mean, what can
so
a
you're
teacher
questioning
do?
their methods, that they're using, you know, taboo topics or
no,
something.
but look, the world is kind of an interesting place, isn't it? Is that I think this is an assumption.
Yeah.
This is an assumption, you know, I start with. It's my basic assumption, you know. The world is sort of interesting.
Now it's sort of one.
No, it is interesting. It's awfully interesting, you know. I'm you know, I'm using euphemisms, but so how can it be that, you know, the classes, language classes, you know, language, which is actually about, you know, language is the world, you know, you have everything there, you can go anywhere. I always say that with language lessons you can do whatever you want, because language is everywhere. Language is building this world. It's like, you know, it is the very fabric yeah of the world, you know. And so it means that linguistic, by principle, language classes are extremely flexible. What you can do inside is just, you know, it's up to you totally, you know. And so you can talk about this, you can talk about that, unless there are some limitations, because, you know, let's say that engineers need certain language, right? Engineering language, whatever. But you know, I'm not a huge fan of this, you know, business English, you know, medical English, legal English, and so on. This serves further, I think, commodification of the language, right? And in fact, you know, I believe that this so-called general English has a great future, and I'm saying this contrary to the guys from the Teachers Talking Time podcast and Geoff Jordan, my favorite, you know, because I think that they were speaking to Geoff in one of their latest episodes, and their conclusion was that the future of language teaching is, of course, TBLT. What else? That's great, but they also said that the so-called English for nebulous purposes, someone coined this name, is going to basically fade, and the future is, you know, very narrow sort of scenarios, like, you know, a dinner with friends, a job interview, or you know, some kind of very narrow applications of language, very specific. And this is the future of, and of course, all done in this, you know, TBLT, task-based language teaching style. But I think that if English for nebulous purposes disappears, then we lose. I mean, this only serves further commodification, you know, because once again, you know, you are going to run courses on how to get a job, how to whatever, you know, you know what I mean. So I think that exactly what is necessary today is this English for nebulous purposes, you know, general English. That is, And I'm not saying it is what's gonna stay. Probably not. Probably they are right. You know, this is where the world is going. But what is necessary is this English. You know, what is necessary is to talk to engineers, 15 bored or maybe sleepy. They are maybe not, they are bored, but you can, you know, wake them up with your general English. You know, let's talk about shyness. Let's talk about cowardice, boys. Are you, you know, do you see the difference? And of course, I'm you know, I'm seeing myself there, of course, and I can only teach this way. So it's probably, but you need to wake up people from their slumber, and not just the 8 a.m. slumber, but this overall slumber that people are in, you know. And I think that English for the nebulous, what is the nebulous purpose? Of course, if somebody doesn't know what English is for, sorry, what language, second language, because I'm not even saying English. If somebody doesn't know what the second language is for, then he will call it nebulous purposes. But to me, this is exactly this, what, who was that? David Epstein, I think, had this phrase that humans are really good at this broad integration. What we are really good at is we can integrate broadly. And this is your general English there. You integrate everything into one. So you've got these engineers talking about emotions, elegance, but also about, of course, specific technical stuff. Why not? It's possible to these, you know, extremes are possible to marry exactly within the framework of general English. This is where I think you can get people from different walks of life, different, you know, educational backgrounds to integrate, you know, see the broad picture, not just your domain, you know, your engines or whatever you're working on. And I think there's a big future for English for the so-called nebulous purposes, but I would call it English for the integrating purposes. You integrate the whole world in your head, and you come out basically a bit more integrated, or I'd say a bit more, you know, whole, as I call it, you know, as a whole person. Yeah, that is my point. I would like to discuss that. However, this is what I feel. It's not what I know, right? Maybe I need to read a couple of books more, or a couple of thousand of books more, and then I'll be able to speak, you know, with
next
certain.
Conference.
Yeah, I mean, it's really interesting, you know. It's really interesting, and yeah, I'm kind of worried about the future of. I mean, not even the future. I'm worried about, you know, the
present.
Present. Yeah, worried about the present because I didn't know it went so far. Honestly, me sitting here, you know, in that, you know, little office and working online and being detached from reality, it's kind of, you know, I didn't know it went so far. I mean, this commodification, this kind of perception of language as, yeah. But I remember I wrote a text maybe a few years ago or something like that, where I already used this phrase, make them talk, you know, and that still is, you know, the major challenge for teachers, make them talk, no matter what, no matter where. Now you have cool tools. AI can design materials you always dreamed of, you know, videos and questions to your video, and then, you know, blah blah blah, so many great things you can do with AI. There's
AI can talk for you. Well, soon
AI can talk.
It can write for you. Suddenly everybody is so good on social media, you know, their texts are perfect.
Yeah, you're right, you know, you're right. I haven't actually thought about it, but you're right. We could actually present ourselves now as really clever people, right?
Yeah.
This is the true artificial intelligence, you know.
True artificial.
Yeah. No, it's interesting. It's also worrying me a little bit, but yeah, there's nothing you can do apart from maybe recording a podcast and rambling about it. All right, Masha, so much for my.
So were you well received?
I guess I was, I mean, yeah, I mean, people coming up to me and saying thank you for this thought-provoking speech. What else can I actually expect, I mean, of course, I could have been better prepared. I think I didn't, because for, I guess, 2 or even 3 weeks before the conference, I started really to freak out because, oh my God, this subject is so vast. I'm not going to cover it. I don't even know if I'm sure what I'm talking about, And then I reached for this hardcore philosophy by Albert Borgman and so on. And again, to present it, I didn't know how it's going to be received. I didn't know if this view is not too broad, honestly, because, it's no longer about ELT. It's about
Did you
education.
talk about good life?
I didn't mention that. I mean, I told you in our private exchanges that the concept of good life, however important, is maybe not that necessary to introduce, because it would further complicate the situation, right?
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, it's interesting. By the way, I spoke with Aga, and I say hi to Aga if she's listening. And last time I was talking about these 2 bottles of wine, and she came up quite spontaneously with another difference. I mean, you've got the real Van Gogh on your wall, and you've got a perfect copy of it. What's the difference? I mean, it's quite nice, isn't it? Because we have to be able to separate. How would you feel, Masha, with that? Having a real Van. I'm not talking about the money necessary to buy a real Van Gogh and all that, because it's surely, I mean, if you have the original, it surely says something about your financial status. But let's say that it's possible to do. Let's speculate. Would that actually make a difference? Any difference if the sunflowers on your wall are real or not?
Real? You mean real sun?
I mean original. Sorry, original. I mean sunflowers by Van Gogh.
Honestly, I don't think it does. The idea is there.
Mm-hmm.
If it's a good, I mean, if it's a photograph, let's say,
mm-hmm.
The idea is there. It's not like with wine.
Ah, you mean that? So the painting can actually be copied without these consequences. What are the consequences? Because if you drink this artificial wine, and for everybody who
I mean, I've never
who doesn't know what we are talking about, last week I think we talked about this artificial wine and real wine, and why should we actually choose the real wine made in vineyard and so on, and not the cheaper but still excellent quality wine from laboratory. So that's right.
Yeah, I think it's a little bit different. For example, if I have never seen Mona Lisa,
okay, yeah,
but it doesn't stop me from staring at a photograph and trying to decipher this. What is this mysterious smile, or what is it? Everybody's.
You're right. Because why is that? Sorry, why? If you could elaborate on the difference between drinking artificial wine and looking at a copy or a perfect copy of Mona Lisa.
Well, with wine, I mean, I can't imagine a situation. Again, I'm not a big wine
lover.
No, not the one who can
Me neither.
appreciate the subtle differences.
Me neither. I'm more a beer guy. Yeah.
No. Okay. I like wine, but unfortunately, I can't say that I will be able to tell apart, and this wine
Good
from
wine
that wine,
yeah.
From mediocre wine. So for me, even if I assume, let's say, for the sake of this conversation, that the taste is absolutely the same, what would make me buy this real wine is the thought of a human being who put an
behind
effort. Yes.
Yeah.
And because I want to support another human being, because it's something worth doing, growing grapes, making wine. So this alone will maybe sway me.
And what about the painting? Okay, Van Gogh is dead, and
painting,
so he will never get the money anyway.
And it's only one copy of it, you know, so only one person.
There's only one. You're right. Yeah, you're right. You're right. And wines are actually, you know, made in lots of
I actually
bottles,
don't think
right?
it's even a good idea for one person to accumulate such. I mean, for one person to own such painting. It should belong to everyone.
It should be in a museum, right? Or I don't
in
know.
a museum. And I mean, of course, there must be. I mean, at least the size of it. But again, I can have the same size copy.
Sure. Sure. And Mona Lisa, by the way, the original is quite small.
Yeah. Again, what are you? Because there are different kinds of art. Sometimes you admire the skill, and sometimes there is no much skill. There is just an idea there, some kind of idea. So if you admire the skill, maybe it makes sense to go and look at the original, because I mean, especially if you know something about art, about the technique, this particular technique.
Oh, yeah, maybe.
But if it's an idea, if it's
but basically you said, Masha, something interesting, that the power of printed Mona Lisa or the copy is pretty much the same like the power of the original, because you will see her smile. It will evoke certain whatever reflections in you, right?
Right, yeah.
So basically it's not like you need the original to feel, I don't know what, you know, to
yeah,
feel.
But there is also something in this mere, you know, going to a museum, going to a place. It's like you go to a church, you know, if you're a believer. So you go to this museum, it takes time, effort to go there in the hope.
I was thinking like this about language schools, you know, about my first language school in Warsaw, you know, that was situated in a beautiful part of Warsaw. And I thought exactly about this whole process, you know, that even walking to my school should already be part of the experience, because you walk through the old town, it looks beautiful, you know, and so on. And I thought exactly like this, you know, and then of course you have a class, and it was beautiful in a way, but then of course it is totally today considered useless. Why should I be walking tired after work, you know, and commuting 1 hour to your goddamn little classroom somewhere at the end of the town, or sorry, in the center?
But in this process, it's the personality of the teacher. It's the most important thing, not anything else. I'm sorry, the color of the walls or historical
in
center.
teaching?
Yeah, in teaching, it's different.
But I think, you know, there was a nice plenary speech in Paris on Sunday by Nair Ibrahim, I think her name was. And she said, I mean, I just remember one slide right now, you know, that there were kids who were asked about, so they had to draw their language. They were multilingual kids, and they had to draw their language somehow. And I think that was the task. And a lot of them, that was surprising. And she pointed that out, were actually painting stuff like, you know, it wasn't actually, sorry, I'm probably mixing something up here, but it was not about drawing your language. There was also a task like that, draw your language, but there was also something else, draw your education or something like this. And for example, kids were drawing, you know, a teacher who's taking me to the cantina, school cantina, or, you know, but they were young learners, of course. But this was nothing about knowledge, nothing about, you know, whatever was being taught. But it was some moments like, you know, me, I don't know, and driving. Okay, my dad driving me to school, and this is my education. You know what I mean? So there are other things that sort of, in at least in kids' minds, sort of overshadow the whole process.
Yeah, first of all, that education might happen on the way to school with your father when you're two of them in the car. It's a place. It's not a place. It's a what's happening. But on the other hand, they get a little bit, let's say, attached. What do I mean by this? Attached to a place. For a young child, let's say when they start school at 6 and then up till 12, maybe 11, they get so surprised, sometimes even shocked, when they see a teacher outside of this familiar setting. For example, they bump into their teacher in a supermarket. They're like, wow, this person exists somewhere else.
Yeah, exactly.
They have such strong, association that the school, this place, and the teacher exists only there. So it's also interesting,
Yeah, exactly. That is it. But I can't remember. I probably interrupted you in some kind of
probably, of course,
mental process.
Very likely, yeah.
Yeah, but we mentioned art now. Yeah, with that, artificial painting or a copy of a painting, a replica or whatever, and the real one. And speaking of art, I was thinking that perhaps art has the power to wake up people, to make them talk, to make them kind of aware, and so on. Because, my principal concern right now is that we are on a slippery slope to a civilization that is purely technological, but not in terms of the number of devices or technologies used, but pure technological in terms of thinking and the perception of the world, so that, freedom is no longer freedom, but freedom is basically the choice that you have, and so on and so forth. I talked a little bit about it last week, and I think that maybe art, great art. I mean, great art, not this kind of I don't know what, this modern thing that is right now. Yeah. But a great art, if it wakes up one day. But I thought that art is not driving changes. Art is just responding again. Or maybe, I don't know, again, I'm lacking knowledge here, but I wonder if art has ever actually set the pace for human development, or was it always responding to certain changes that have already taken place, like
about artists who were born, they say, ahead of their time.
Ahead of their time.
So nothing good
You're
happened
right.
to them.
Yeah, exactly. Nothing good happened to them. And then if they were discovered or rediscovered, it was, for them at least, it was too late. But then again, the zeitgeist, the spirit of the time, was such that it was time for that artist. It's a pity he's dead, but hey, what a great visionary, and so on.
And
but then
also,
again, it would mean that
you need to be a well-educated person with well-rounded education in order to be able to understand art. So
you think so?
Yeah.
Maybe there is, because
I'm not talking about skills.
No, I know, but it's all about sensitivity, I think, because you may not understand. I mean, if you're a critic, yes, you need to know the history of art and so on and so forth. But this is about critics. But if you are just a recipient, then it's all about your emotions, and all about, you understanding it sort of subconsciously. It's not understanding, it's feeling. It's about feeling. It's about feeling the difference between the real wine and the artificial one. It's about feeling, because I think that perhaps this is what we are about to lose, this feeling, that you feel that it's different. It's not, because it's very hard scientifically to prove what's the difference. I mean, chemically, if we break down this wine from this fantastic vineyard, if you take it to the lab and you analyze the chemical components that make up this fantastic wine, then you can basically recreate this wine in the lab.
But this is
with
also
the same
art,
chemical components.
There are people who never understand the wine. They drink just to get drunk. That's it, just intoxication, and whatever will do. In order to be able to appreciate wine, you need to rise actually above certain level of
are you rising above through knowledge?
Education.
Yeah, exactly. But it's more than knowledge, right?
It's more than knowledge, yes.
If you have two people walking through the forest, they may have later at the end, of their walk, they may have two totally different stories to tell.
Yes.
I mean, what one person felt, what the other felt, one was just seeing, I know, green stuff and, and so on. The other one saw, the beauty of nature, wild nature, the sound of the wind in the trees and so on. It's kind of, and what is the difference? The difference is in what? In sensitivity, I guess. You have two people with different sensitivity. And I think education as a whole concept is about this sensitivity, is about producing this sensitivity in people who originally may have it or not, right? Because usually we associate, at least.
Well, it can be taught. You will be raised, not noticing yourself at the beginning, but by, it will be slow, I don't know, gently, somehow, let's say, your attention will be brought to it, and with a little bit of explanation, a little bit of nudging, you will soon, I think every person maybe will soon get this, what you call sensitivity.
You mean that? Yeah, I don't know. Honestly, I'm not so sure about it.
About every person?
No, I don't know. Honestly.
You don't think that it can be taught?
It could be taught, but then we just like critical thinking. Can it be taught? Well, yes, because ChatGPT told me 10-point plan for the development of my critical thinking skills. And I went through these 10 points, and they really, of course, I didn't train with it, but I think that, wow, they really make sense, and chat is able even to, to deliver tasks and specific exercises. So it later tests your 10-point plan, if you are a critical thinker or not. And this is doable in theory, and perhaps in practice too, by a machine. A machine can teach you critical thinking skills, because critical thinking can be broken down into individual components and so on. And I think sensitivity could perhaps also be subverted like this, because sensitivity could be, first, you walk through the forest, look up, look down, look around, smell,
no.
appreciate everything.
Appreciate fine things,
Like fine things, like what?
Like a forest
a butterfly
in autumn.
All right.
Like good wine, a good painting.
You think it's this is teachable or even trainable?
Not trainable, but
it's not
teachable.
But it's teachable. I mean, if your parents, for example, you're a small kid. Not sure about that, honestly.
I want to say good life right now for some reason. If you experience this good life.
Good life meaning what exactly in this context? Like, when do you experience this good life? Because you have to see maybe the goodness in life. This is what you mean. Because you appreciate, how beautiful is that, red leaf on a tree or whatever, everything that you are actually looking at, is unique. It's one of a kind.
this is pathetic, but I'm thinking of a character. I mean, you must have seen this movie. It's called Twins with Arnold Schwarzenegger.
Oh yeah, Schwarzenegger, of course, Schwarzenegger. I watched all of his movies.
He was born on an island. You know, this one twin.
All right.
And he received this, what I call, is it even a term, well-rounded education? Do you know what I'm talking about?
Yeah. I mean, well-rounded means
it means that he not only learned math and physics, he also
so it was not STEM but STEAM with art in it.
Yes. And this is how you learn to appreciate things. Not only, cold rational logic, you just, dissection or dissect or whatever you do with the things.
Yeah, I get it.
So that's he received a very good education, and he was able to see things, and he had a really, really open mind. His mind was so open, like nobody's else. And
this is a little bit what Ken Robinson was advocating throughout his life, this guru of education for many, that there should be art classes and ballet and everything, in school, not just, the STEM kind of engineering education, right?
Because then you will end up with 15 engineers in your class who have nothing to talk about. Only their work.
Except I don't believe this is true, that these guys have nothing to talk about. It's a stereotype, I think, that they want to talk about. I mean, I'm speaking from my experience, right? But again, I must be honest about it. I haven't worked with the new generation of engineers. I worked with old guys from the steel plant, And
but I'm sure you had at least a couple of students who applied, and you had a first class, and you both understood that this path you cannot walk together.
It happened to me, you're right.
Yes.
But extremely rarely. I mean,
well, because you have already a certain, it's called information bubble. People recommend.
You're right. I basically know the
That's
people
why
who study
don't
with
get
me
to meet a lot of such people.
You're right.
But they exist.
You're absolutely right.
And believe me, 15... when you ask them one of your questions, they will be like, what nonsense. I mean, why should I talk about this if I have more urgent things to discuss? So
I think, Masha, you have more experience like that.
Yes.
I mean, with but I call it I was calling it, because I can't remember the last time I was using this concept, but I was calling it the softening of people. Meaning that, you have an engineer like that, or any other person who is very, very not straight and narrow, but
what you say, straight, but it means a different thing.
No, today I have to be careful with that. But very, very narrow-minded, I would say. But it's not in the, it's not a pejorative concept, but simply, the person is focused on their work, task-oriented. I'm doing tasks in that domain.
Pragmatic and
I don't
practical.
need. I don't need to. I don't need to look around, and worry about other things. I just worry about a piece of reality. And I was working with people like this in various corporations in Warsaw when I was like doing this, in-house, whatever.
And you softened them.
And my idea was of softening them. I was never like, okay, I'm going to measure your needs, do the needs analysis, and then I'm going to basically deliver you what you want. It was never my approach. And I'm sorry if I cheated people, but guys, maybe you at least but I was never my approach. My approach was, okay, guys,
you don't
I
give
see who
people
you are.
what they want. You give them what they need.
Sorry, yeah, exactly. And I think education today is giving too much to people, to what people need.
To what
Sorry,
people
what people want, what people want, and not what people need. You know, in this book, One on One or One to One, sorry, I don't know the title. Exactly, there was this idea of, okay, first, if you have a new student, you have to analyze the needs, you know, and there was like a big questionnaire that you could use, you know.
Yes.
And, you know, what language do you need? Vegetables and fruits, then clothing, then job interview, tick, tick, tick. And then you have that needs analysis, you know, and then you respond and you prepare classes, you know, according to that needs analysis. I mean, this is so wrong in education that student is telling you what they want and you do it. Now teach me, you know, that. No, I think that the teacher should sort of know better, or at least have an intuition that, okay, look, there is, you know, and I always start with the assumption that English is just English. You know, the syntax is pretty much the same whether you talk about vegetables or you know, your car engine, right? The syntax will be the same. It's just a matter of some lexical items. But, and because I deeply believe it is like that, you know, I may kind of, you know, go away from it. And I remember from my work with you know, with people from corporations, this is some, I know it's a mental shortcut, you know, but and I was trying to soften them, and I think I had maybe a few success stories, few failures too, you know, but I had a few success stories. Like, you almost, you know, it's very hard, especially if you're like hard corpo type. It's very hard to get into these people, the touch them in places where they
Okay,
even don't touch themselves. All right,
this
let's
was
finish
another episode of the Thinking Out Loud. A place where we give people what they need, never what they want.
Exactly, you know. Great.
So if you're
Masha,
interested in getting what you need, please contact us.
yes, exactly. Masha,
And be on
that
our
is the
show.
time to we finish, right? Sorry, I
Yes.
was blabbing like crazy. Thanks a lot for listening, and we hope to see you, or we hope to speak to you.
Yeah.
Next
See
week.
you, hear you, touch you in the places you've never been touched before.
Or you didn't touch yourself even.
Oh my God. Okay. So
all right. Thanks a lot.
bye-bye, everyone.